morning, everyone. It's Karen Whooley. Welcome to episode 3 of the Karen Whooley Designs podcast. So excited to be here with all of you. I'm so excited to finally be back. Last week was a crazy week. I got really sick. At first I thought it was a cold. Now I'm thinking it's more of my sinuses with the weather changes. I've always had issues with everything in my head, so I'm still dealing with it. I've got a little bit of a hoarse voice, so I apologize in advance for that. But happy fall. So excited it's fall. You wouldn't know it going outside here. Fall doesn't really start until after about October 1st, usually around here. It's supposed to be 85 today. And while I still love the little end of summer extra heat, I'm ready for fall. I'm ready for pumpkins. I'm ready to decorate for fall. I haven't done that yet. I need to do that this week. But I am ready to go, believe me. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with finished projects. I did finish my socks this weekend. They still need to be, I just put them on the bloggers. They need to be wet down and blocked perfectly. But these are my knit socks that I've been doing during football season. It is, the yarn is from Wedgwood Fibers. Oh, I have it here. Wedgwood Fibers, it's her, oh no, wrong bag. That's a bag I can't show you. Sorry about that. Here we go. Wedgwood Fibers. I'm going to pull the tag out now that I'm done. Let me pull this out here. Wedgwood Fibers. It's her fingering weight yarn. She doesn't really have a name for it, the fingering weight, but it's her fingering weight. It's 100 grams and 437 yards. 85% superwash extra fine merino and 15% nylon in her color oyster shell. And you can see how pretty these turned out. I mean, I know they're knit, not crochet. I cannot show you the crochet project right now that I'm working on, that I just showed you the bag, because it is, I'm still not announcing what the book projects are yet, but I'm getting close. So stay tuned for that. But I'm really excited about how these turned out. Now that it's fall, we're getting close to the time where I can start wearing socks. So I'm going to be blocking these, putting these in my sock drawer, and I will be wearing those a lot this summer, or this fall and winter. And I did start a new set. Just barely got the cuff going. But this is a yarn from Two Sisters Yarn Company. And the main color is Cool Beans. This is, let me see. She doesn't have on here. Oh, here we go. It's her Big Sky base, fingering weight, 4-ply, 75% merino, 25% nylon, 240 yards, in approximately 95 grams. Two Sisters, I found them at Interweave Yarn Fest last year when I taught in Loveland, Colorado. So that's the main skein. Oops, hang on one second. So the main skein I haven't started with yet. That's this. It's going to be a self-striping yarn. It's called Cool Beans again. I'm really excited about this because I love self-striping yarns. I had another one that I was planning to work on, and I cannot find it. So when I find it, I'll probably be doing that as well. But this is the mini skeins. I actually bought, oops, I got this hooked on stuff. I actually bought 2 mini skeins, and I wound them together for the toe, the heel, and the cuff. And this is called Bright Fuchsia, but it's meant to work with Cool Beans. So you can kind of see that it's pulling that fuchsia color that's in there. So hopefully next week with football, I will be getting this worked up. Actually, I might not be watching football next week because, well, I might a little bit. Sunday is our anniversary, 34 years of marriage, so I'm very excited. So we're going to be going out to dinner. And then I realized that the Seahawks aren't playing till Monday night. They're Monday Night Football next week. So I may watch a little bit during the afternoon of our anniversary, but I don't know how much. So I may not get much farther than what I got on the cuff today or this weekend. So anyway, so that's what's new. Again, I am still working on the book. I have 8 more projects. I was really hoping to get them all, or 7 more projects, sorry. 7 more projects. I was hoping to get them done by the end of the month. I'm hoping to get 3 done this week, so that way I can do everything and get everything done by the 15th of October. If I can get everything done by the 15th of October, I'm golden. So that's the goal. Unfortunately, I've had some issues like being sick that have slowed me down, but I'm feeling better today, so that's why I'm here. So let's move on to what's new in the studio. Now, I was going to do a full-fledged review on this book, and I may still do that maybe on my blog, or maybe do a video next week. Because I haven't been feeling well, I haven't really been able to look through this as thoroughly as I want to. But this is called The Art of Crochet with Sock Weight Yarn. And you guys know I love fingering weight. A lot of people call it sock weight. I love fingering weight. I love working with indie dyers. And this book is basically teaching you how to use, well, not really teaching you how to use it, but that there are beautiful projects that you can do with hand-dyed fingering weight yarn. This book, though, like I said, I haven't delved super deep into it, but I did get through the first part of it. And I can tell you for sure that this book is for beginners. The projects in here are all super simple. They're just basically helping you use fingering weight yarn that you might have bought a one skein in your stash, or hand-dyed yarns that you don't know what to do with. So if you're looking for super simple projects, this is your book. There's really nothing in here, honestly. I mean, they're mostly like, here, I'm going to show you, like hexagons, and there's some granny squares in there. That's a scrappy blanket. There's just a basic stitch pillow in there. So as far as the skill level, I would say beginner, straight up beginner. There's another blanket. There's just a simple wave shawl here. You saw that on the cover. There's a pillow with just basically increasing double crochets done in a spiral. It's not super hard. So if you're someone who is looking for more basic, simple projects, here's another shawl. It's just basic stitches, chains, a blanket that's done in the moss stitch. So, it's just using yarns. A bandana. I know she also has a hair clip in here. A shawl, or a Mobius topper type thing that's using double, triple crochet. So if you don't like the taller stitches, I wouldn't recommend that either. As someone who grew up on Italian lace and knows what goes into trying to keep a double, triple straight, I wouldn't call that a beginner pattern. She does have one garment in here. She has several garments, but they're all granny squares except for this one. This one is done in I'm trying to think here. What is it? It is done in half double crochets. Basically, that's what it is. So that's, simple stitch. Here's what I'm talking about with garments, with squares, things like that. So there's nothing super hard in any of these. She has some one skein, cute hat done flat. That's really cute, and several sizes. But again, it's nothing that I would say anybody who wants to be challenged, other than the double triple pattern. This is for a beginner. I will put a link in the show notes to the book. I may do a full-on review later on, like I said, but because I wasn't feeling well last week, I really haven't been able to really see how detailed the patterns are. She does have a lot of how-tos in there. That's wonderful, especially if you're a more beginner crochet. I do realize that this book is designed to help crocheters basically learn to use just smaller weighted yarns, which is something I 100% promote. But I know most of my followers are more advanced, and they can go back and forth from fingering weight to worsted weight to sport weight to to DK, whatever, without having issues. I think what this book does do is give you some ideas of how to put variegated, multicolored skeins, speckled skeins together with a tonal, and give you an idea of how to use multiple, a skein like this guy right here with, tonals and things like that. So it is a great book. If you're looking for something that is not challenging, I would definitely pick this book up. So that's all I've got to say about that. So now I want to talk about something that's happening right now on my, if you're subscribed to my newsletter, you know about this already, but I am giving away a $15 coupon that'll be good on patterns and or books in my shop, because I have a survey that I really need a lot of people to weigh in on. I mentioned this before. September is the month that I do a lot of planning and thinking about what I'm doing for the next year. And one of the things big this year is people are asking for more classes. And so I have a really simple survey, and thank you to those of you who have already submitted your responses. There's only 4 questions. One is completely optional, and it is basically, there's 2 short answers. So it's basically asking about the types of classes and anything else you might want to tell me about education. And then there's 2 multiple choice. Seriously, super easy. You can do it anonymously. I've had people who have filled it out anonymously already, but I need more answers. So please, 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 I'm going to put the link right here below me, but I'm also going to ask, I'm also going to put it in the show notes, and I'm going to ask that you please, please go out and answer those 4 questions for me. You don't, like I said, it's anonymous. The only reason why I ask for your name and your email is if you want to be entered into the drawing to win the gift certificate, but also 2, if I have any questions, because a lot of people have been putting things like, I need more advanced techniques. Well, advanced is subjective in my opinion. I mean, when we're, pitching classes for events, we have to scale them based on a thing, but honestly, I don't think you need to know certain things to take certain classes, but I don't think you need to say it's advanced when I know a beginner or an intermediate can say, I can do this class even though they may not have 100% of all the skills that are there. So if you have something that you're saying more advanced techniques, I need to know specifically what those advanced techniques are. If you consider Tunisian advanced, write Tunisian. If you want to learn about how to grade a sweater or how to make a sweater that may not have all your measurements correct work for you, or you may want to talk about how to substitute a DK weight yarn for a fingering weight yarn. If you like to work with a little heavier yarns based on my patterns, that kind of thing. If you want, I'm not going to teach design necessarily right away, but if you have some things about design that you would like to see in the future classes, put those things down. I did have a lot of people ask for Tunisian, so if you're in the Tunisian camp, please put that in the survey. Also, anything. Nothing is too basic. If you are struggling with reading patterns, tell me that. If you are struggling with reading crochet charts, tell me that. I'm looking to put at least 5 new classes into my catalog for 2025, and I really need to know what my followers and customers are looking for. So please, if you have not taken a look at that survey, go ahead, and the link is right below me, and then we are going to talk about and then I'll talk about in the future program what the results were, what kind of, what people are looking for. The survey will close on October 1st. I will do a drawing that afternoon and announce it on October 2nd who the winner is. So you have until October 1st, but I really would like you to jump on it as soon as possible. Anyway, so that's that. Last thing I want to do is talk about is comments. And I put my comments on my iPad here. So, so there weren't a whole lot of comments on the video itself. I think there was just one. If I am going to go back and look at that really quick. But I did get an email from someone that I want to share. Hang on one second here. Comments. There we go. Okay, so actually one person commented on the last video 2 weeks ago. And that was just me and Crochet Francis. And she was the one who I read the story about her ripple blanket, how one side kept growing and growing and growing. Well, she did send me a picture, and I'll show you that in just a second. But she did say, congratulations on becoming an ambassador for We Crochet. And I do want to mention too, you still have until September 30th to use that coupon. I'll make sure it's in the show notes for this episode as well. She really liked my tweed colors. Yes, I love purple. I love purple too. You mentioned charts for those of us who are left-handed, and I'll talk about that in a second. Even though I can read charts that are not written for us, I'm sure it would be very helpful for all of us who are left-handed. I have to say that your patterns and charts are well written, and I was able to follow your charts just fine, and I really appreciate that, Francis. So it's really important to me that number one is my patterns are well written and easy to follow. I mean, I am not perfect. My tech editor is not perfect, so I know every once in a while we're going to have an error in a pattern. But my goal is to be as error-free as possible. So the fact that you said that they're well written, it really makes me happy. And I just wanted to comment on that. I did talk to my tech editor who does my charts for me as well. And for my book, we are going to try flipping some of the charts to see how they work. It may be for my book, I don't know, it depends on how much room some of these charts are going to take. But we'll either put both right-handed and left-handed in the book. But if there's too many charts for a particular project, we may have a QR code for the lefties to be able to just scan it with their phone or their iPad and open it up and have the left-handed chart. It's all going to depend on space, unfortunately, because the more pages there are in the book, the more it's going to cost to print it. PDFs aren't so bad, but the print process, and I know from talking to all of my followers, most people prefer when it's a book that they get the print book. They like to have the free digital copy, but they prefer to have a print book that they can use. So I just want to let you know of that part of it. So I'm really excited about that. But the other thing is that the previous week, episode 1, Francis, or actually episode 2, she did talk about her blanket. She did talk about her blanket, and she sent me a picture. I'm going to pull up the email here. I just lost it because I closed that window. Okay, so I'm going to show you the blanket here. And she said, here's my first crochet blanket. In December, my husband and I will be married for 49 years, so this blanket is old. And this she made her first year of marriage, so it's as old as some of the blankets I've made that I have one left. Anyway, you can see how it kept growing. My husband was using it today. This morning, it was in the 50s, but ended up being 75. Fall here in Ohio is coming fast. So I just wanted to show her blanket. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate to what had happened to this blanket with one side just growing and growing and growing. And it's a ripple, which is, it's hard to do that on just one side. Most people have both sides going. So it'd be interesting to look at it in person to see what exactly was going on and why that one side was growing and the other side wasn't. But she also sent me another picture, and it's a picture of my pattern, Pink Icing. She was actually the winner this summer of our crochet along, and I sent her 2 skeins of it was pink. It's called, I can't remember what the name of that yarn was. It's Passion Fibers was the company. I can't remember what the color was. I want to say Valentine or something like that. And she said, I really enjoyed making the pink icing shawl. The only problem I had was the yarn. Even though they had the same dye lot, they were different. But I didn't notice until I started on the second skein. I was not going to frog it, so I just continued. If I had known they were so different, I would have changed yarn every 4 repeats. Lesson learned. I will still wear it, but just not the way I wanted to. And then she says, here's a picture, and I'm showing you the picture right now. Thank you for a wonderful pattern. So if you haven't seen it, this is pink icing. You can get it on my website. I'll make sure there's a link to the pattern there in the show notes. But I wanted to make a comment because she makes a really good point that these are hand-dyed yarns that had a dye lot on them. And I don't know how many of you have had issues with even Red Heart. Once in a while you have the same dye lot and the colors are different. It's not very common with a box store yarn, but with hand dyes, what you need to know with hand-dyed yarns is dye lots don't mean they should match necessarily. It just, a lot of dyers, most dyers that I know of don't put dye lots on them except for their own notes or something like that. I was just gonna look here and see if she had a dye lot on here. No, she does not have her dye lot on here. Some hand dyers do put a dye lot number, and that dye lot number is just basically tells them when those colors were dyed. It does not mean that they should necessarily match because you cannot get them, because they are hand dyed and not machine dyed like most box store yarns are. Even 2 hanks of yarn that are in the same pot can look slightly different. One can be darker than the other. One could have the speckling more concentrated in an area and less concentrated in another area versus one that's more evenly spaced. So I always recommend, no matter what you're working on, and I've learned this lesson too, if you have 2 hand-dyed yarns from the same hand dyer and you're using both of them in the project and they're the only 2, you're not breaking it up with other colors or anything like that. I always say, she said every 4 rows. I usually do it every 2 rows. So I work 2 rows of one color, then 2 rows of another color. That way the ends of the yarn are always at the same side, so you can just carry up your yarn and go with the next one like that. I learned that the hard way on my my girasole shawl with a local hand dyer, that the colors were, I didn't even check for a dye lot on that one. I don't even know if there was a dye lot on that one. But they were so close in the hanks. But when I started crocheting and I finished the first hank and went to the second hank, it was so much lighter than the first hank. And fortunately, I have a graphic designer who does my patterns that was able to hide the problem, color correct the pictures, that kind of thing, so that the pattern itself doesn't show it as much, but you can still see it. If you have my girasole pattern, it's an orange shawl. I'll put a picture here. I think it's the one that's laid flat. You can kind of see where the color changes, even though we did do some color correcting. So that is my tip for the week. When you're using hand-dyed yarns, it doesn't matter if they have the same dye lot. Always, change rows. You could do it every 4 rows if you wanted to too. I usually do it every 2, only because then I have a shorter strand of yarn that's going up the side of the project or in the middle of the project if it's worked in the round, because I try not to cut. But you could do more, and as long as it's an even number, that's what I usually tell everybody. Unless you have 3 hanks and you're going to be using all 3 hanks. And then you could do what they call is the ABC method, where you do 1 row of one color, 1 skein, with 1 row of the next one, then start with 1 row of the 3rd color, and then you go back to 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and that gives you, all 3 colors all 3 hanks are being worked together. So if you know it's something that you're going to have to use more than 1 hank, you could do one of each hank. I know it gets unruly when you have more than 1 ball of yarn attached to your project, but trust me, by changing the colors changing the hank every couple rows or every row, if you've got 3 hanks, you will be so much happier with the results, unless you like color pulling. And I know some dyers love the fact that things are different and that they will have some color pulling in different places, but I'm not a fan, so that's just me. Anyway, guys, that is it for me this week. It's a shorter one. I'm hoping next week to have more to show you. I'm still working on that book, so once I get the projects for the book done, you'll be able to see some crochet projects. I've already got a few written out of what I want to do next, so you guys will get to watch some of those things happening in real time. So take care, have a good week, love all of you, and I will talk to you next time. Bye, y'all.